welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Today, got a brief break in the weather, so we're going to start on a few projects here. And one of them will be the McCulloch here, but before that I wanted to talk about a video we did about a week ago, and I discovered a new way to use my chainsaw in the bad weather. So we'll bring it right up, and then right after that we'll come back and start talking about McCulloch. Well, today we were going to go out and cut some wood, but guess what? We can't. So what can we do? Hey, I've got a great idea. Be right back. Okay, well, McCulloch here is a McCulloch ProMac 610 that was hopped up by Smitty from Smitty's Chainsaws and Firewood channel. And so anyway, things that we've done to it since we got it: put on a decent air filter, changed the side cover to, I believe it's off a 1010, put a new plug in it, and then on the clutch, the drive sprocket was worn out really badly, so I replaced that. But I just wanted to talk briefly about going to the dealers these days. So anyway, we have a local still dealer, and I thought, well, the place I usually go is quite a ways away. So anyway, I thought, well, I'll just run down there and get a sprocket real quick. So I went down and I took the old one with me and handed it to the counter person there, and so, oh yeah, we got that in stock. So they bring it out, set it on the counter, I pick it up and match it against the old one, and the inner diameter was about 1/8 of an inch too small. I said, no, that isn't it. Oh yeah, that's it. So I showed them. Oh, okay. So they go back and spend about 5 minutes looking for another, and they brought this one out. He said, yeah, that matches perfectly. So unfortunately for me, I didn't check it, and when I went to put it on this, it's just a little bit too small. So anyway, then the other one, the big saw shop we went to, where I normally get my parts and whatnot, they had recently changed hands, and before that they'd been around, family run it for years. People knew what they were doing, and it was a great place to deal with, but not so much anymore. But anyway, I went in and wanted a chain for the little Still 025 because it had a crappy safety chain on it, and so I went in and told them I wanted an Oregon replacement. And I said, if you get a skip tooth, I'd prefer it. And, oh, we don't carry skip tooth in that one. I said, okay, well, make sure that the chain you give me is not a safety chain. Oh, no problem. So, my bad, I didn't look until a week later when I went to put on the saw. It's a safety chain. And then about 2 weeks later, I went down and get me a sprocket. Fortunately, I took the clutch with me. And so anyway, original sprocket. So anyway, new people there, and then a young guy come up and told him what I needed and gave him the sprocket. Here, match this up for me. Oh, okay, yeah. He goes back and looks around for 5 or 6 minutes and comes back, and he said, we don't carry that, what's it for? And I said, it doesn't matter what it's for. I said, that particular sprocket fits about 90% plus of all the mid-size saws ever made. I said, I don't think we carry it anymore. So I said, well, here, you can go back, here's the clutch drum. He goes back and he looks some more, and he finally comes out, he's got one sprocket in stock, you know. I said, okay. And I said, but you know, what you're saying to me is absolutely false, saying that you don't carry these anymore. I said, it fits half the saws or more than the ones you're selling right here today. So he goes back and talks to somebody in the back room, and then when he comes back, he's got this box full of about 100 new ones. Oh, look, we actually have these in stock. So anyway, I don't like to rant too much, but I just, you know, dealing with incompetent people is just really annoying these days. You know, people don't want to do the job, they just want to exist. And anyway, that's it for the rant. So anyway, the saw's together, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to prep the bar. So we'll be right back. Well, the bar I have here that I'm going to use on it for the break-in period is an Oregon bar. It's out of the early 80s because it's what's called a banana bar, and I've talked about that in other videos. It's anti-kickback. And anyway, I had a comment recently, and then I've had a lot of questions before, even though I've talked about it in other videos about safety chains and the safety bars, anti-kickback. So if you would, I know most of you have chainsaws and know a lot about them, but a lot of people watch the channel are fairly new to it. So if you guys want to have me do a video talking about and showing how these chains are, the different types of safety chains and the different types of bars and why they're made the way they are, leave a comment and we'll go from there. So anyway, this thing had mostly been used on the bottom here. You know, it's got a ridge on it because the banana bars don't work right if you flip them up the other way. And so it's a bottom rails are always the one that are the worst shape, and so there's a little bit of edge on it. Like that. So what we're going to do first, I'm going to take and get that cleaned up. What we're going to be using is our vintage Montgomery Ward belt sander. This is a really nice old piece, very simply made. So the first thing we're going to do is put a new belt on. You know, new ones you have to take off pulleys and take off covers and all kinds of stuff. This one, all you got to do is just push down on it and take the belt off. Simple as can be. Take the new one, put it in there, run it in behind the guide plate there, get it up here, push it down, get the belt on there, there we go. And spin it so it centers itself. So anyway, the first thing we want to do, and like I say, there's this bar here to push against, and we'll just kind of go and take the edge off it like that. So I'll be right back. Okay, well, we're set here. So we're running the bar at an angle here, real sharp angle, to cut the lip off the edge here first. A little bit right here yet, but anyway, we'll be right back when I get it totally finished. Okay, well, you can see that took that nice little fine edge off there. Looks perfect. So the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to check and see if the rails here are straight or crooked. And the saw I had it on actually was cutting pretty good, so anyway, what we'll do, do it like this. You can hold it up and see if you see light under either rail there, which I don't. So make sure this is square. Next thing we want to do is make sure that this is a 90-degree angle here, which it is. So then I'm going to take a marker pen here, darken up the rails. That way when we grind it, if it's shiny in spots and black in the other, we know it's not square. Okay, well you can see there we got a nice clean area, nice and square. So the next thing we want to check is how much rock here, the width of this. You can tell by the amount of rock in the chain, which is minimal. That's just about perfect. It doesn't need to be that taken care of. But anyway, so the next thing we're going to do, put the bar on the saw. Okay, well what we're ready to do now is take some brake cleaner and carb cleaner and clean out the guide to make sure there's no metal in there. Ick in there still. And there where the oil comes in. Now, I've already lubed the tip here, I've shown that in other videos. Some of the chains on these Macs, you have to tilt them a little bit to get them to drop in behind there, otherwise they won't clear right through here. So anyway, we'll get the chain put on, and when I'm ready to adjust it, I'll be right back. Okay, well we're close to our initial adjustment here. Looks like it's tight here, but if you lift the bar up the way it's supposed to be when you adjust it, it's loose. And so I've seen a lot of people adjust them and tighten them like this, and the problem is when you're cutting, the bar will slowly move up, and of course then the chain will get loose, and so then you have to stop and adjust the chain real quick. So anyway, I'll get this snugged up. So what you want is you want the chain to have, can lift it off and it's not sagging, but it has just a teeny bit of a tension on it, and that's what you need. So then we'll do the initial tightening of the bar here. Run it through and then check it again. It stayed pretty close, so anyway, that's a proper way to adjust your chain. Get this down and get this tightened all the way up here. Since I didn't lube this thing, we'll put some oil on it here. Just a little bit of oil, you can hear it smooth right out. So anyway, we'll get that finished up. Okay, well, McZilla is all ready to cut, but I'm not going to start it and run it today, because by the time I get out to where the stump is at, I'm going to cut on. Yeah, got a storm coming in right behind us here, so I know as soon as I get out there, I'll get rained on or snowed on or both. Another thing I just wanted to talk about briefly is vintage is best. These old oil cans are so much better than the new ones. This is an Eagle here. I've got new Eagles and they're just junk by comparison. This is really excellent. So I wanted to show you one thing coming up here too. Another problem we've had with another saw. Well, here's another example of trying to deal with the places that sell stuff. This saw only had 3 or 4 hours on it when I got it. 2011 model, and I looked for a carburetor kit and I had a hard time finding it. I finally found a place that had it, and I looked up the carburetor number on it and looked on the picture and stuff, and it showed that model carburetor, so I ordered a couple of them. And when I got the carb kits, they weren't even close, and so about half of the parts in there I could use, and the other half of the parts that came out of my kits that I had taken. Like if you get a Walbro kit, for instance, it'll have 2 or 3 different diaphragms and gaskets and stuff to fit a wide range of saws. And so when I have a spare pieces, I put them in a box, and I found the pieces. So I found a diaphragm to pump the fuel and whatnot. And the saw's been doing pretty good. The other day it was 25 out, and it took me about 10 pulls to get it started, and went out and did some cutting with it a bit. And a couple of days ago I took it out and had some small work to do, and started up after 4 or 5 pulls and ran for about 5 minutes, and then it started cutting out and had to reach the carburetor, and so it failed. And so I went back looking for carb kits again, and can find them. So anyway, new carburetors are available for them. And some of these things, they say they fit and they don't, so we'll see if this one fits. But the guy had sold 575 of them and had no bad feedback, so I'm assuming it's going to fit and work. So it looks the same, and adjustments look the same. So let's see what happens with it. Anyway, we'll get it all tore apart and see if we can salvage it. But yeah, I've been working on these little Brandex saws for a while, done a lot of videos on them, and I think I was about ready to go to the funny farm. These things are such a pain in the rear to work on and keep them running right. Keeps your mechanical skills sharp, but it's going to be such a relief to start working on the big saws, medium saws again. That'll keep me from getting locked up. So anyway, be right back. Okay, here's a couple of trees we're going to take down. They're about 18 to 20 foot high. I topped them before. The far one's got about another 6 foot that grew out of it since then, but it's in a bad place and shade stuff. We got to get rid of them. But the nice thing is that the size of them will be just perfect for doing the cookies with the McZilla. And we're going to be using the Lombard and the Steel 025, and we're going to do cuts with them with the crappy safety chains on them, and then we'll do the ones with the good chains, and then we'll check the time, just do some comparisons, see how much better they do. So the next thing we're going to do is look at some branches over here. Now these are the branches off that tree. So anyway, my motto is use what you have. And I could take these out, throw them on the burn pile, which some of it will end up there, but the thing is, I like to save these branches with the needles when they're green like this and the sap is flowing in them. And I use them, grind them up make a mulch and put around the trees and under the grapevines and stuff. When you do it fresh like that, there's just a little teeny bit of acidity in this stuff. And so when you put it down in the spring, that'll keep the weeds from growing up around these for a while, so it works good. So anyway, little stuff like that. I use my Boy Scout axe here, so Collins. Just cut stuff off really slick. Nothing beats a good axe, or a great axe in this case, a hatchet. We get a little bit bigger stuff like this. And that branch is about 3/4 of an inch across. In the recent video, I just sharpened up my little Evansville here. This looks so good. Very little effort and just cuts so nice. So anyway, axes and hatchets, the thinking man's tools. Vintage is best. We'll see you in the next video.